Here in this section, we are going to discuss polymer processing. Polymer processing is the process of conversion of polymer into desired product. This conversion of polymer into useful or finished products is known as polymer processing. So, polymer processing is the process of conversion of polymer, raw polymer into useful or finished products. Different methods are used for polymer processing. The important methods are molding, casting, spinning, then thermoforming, same way we can use extrusion, etc. So these are the main methods which are used for polymer processing. First of all, we are going to discuss molding method. Here we are going to discuss two important molding methods. One is compression molding, and the second one is injection molding. The first method is compression molding. Compression molding is used to prepare articles from thermostatic plastic. So it is used to prepare finished products from thermostatic plastic. Here the instrument is almost like this. The mold contains an upper part, an upper half, and a lower half. This upper half contains projection and the lower half contains a cavity which is having the same size and shape of the projection in the upper part. The polymer is usually filled in the cavity. Then after filling polymer into the cavity of the lower part, the upper half is pressed over the lower half. And during the molding process, large amount of heat energy and pressure is applied on the mold. So heat energy is about 200 degrees Celsius and pressure is about 70 kilogram per centimeter square is applied on the mold. So when pressure is applied after closing the upper half over the lower half, polymer within the cavity becomes hard and it attains the shape of the cavity. Here the cavity is almost like a rectangle. So the molded material will obtain rectangular shape. If the cavity is in circular shape, then molded material will possess a circular shape. So during the molding process, when we apply high pressure and temperature, the material becomes hard and it obtains the shape of the cavity, and at the same time the excess material will be flows out of the mold as a thin layer, and this thin layer is called flash. So after molding, we can remove this upper half and we'll get the molded material which having the shape of the cavity. So finally, we'll get a molded material like this. So this is compression molding method. The second molding method is injection molding. This is the best method for thermoplastic. materials. So this molding instrument contains a large cylinder which is attached to a hopper and one of the end is connected with a piston. So one of the end is connected with a piston and next end is open to the mold. These are the two parts of the mold. One of the part is stationary. So this is the stationary part. And the second one is a movable part. The movable part contains the cavity. So the molded material possesses the shape of the cavity. If you want to prepare a circular article, then we have to choose a mold containing a circular cavity. Then during the molding process, our polymer is poured through this hopper. So polymer is poured through the hopper and this polymer moving through the cylinder is heated by using an electric heater, and the heating temperature is slightly lesser than the softening temperature of the polymer which is used in the molding process. So it is lesser than the softening temperature. Then nearby the next end there is an instrument called torpedo, which helps to mix the polymer flowing through the cylinder. So this instrument is called torpedo. This helps to maintain the uniformity of the polymer which is flowing through the cylinder. So the uniformly mixed polymer is injected to the mold through this nozzle. And this piston helps to move the polymer easily through this cylinder. And the polymer flows through the horizontal cylinder is injected into a vertical mold. So there is a possibility to flow out this polymer from the mold. And that is prevented by mechanical locking. The mold is properly held in the position by applying high pressure over this mold. And the pressure is about 1500 kilogram per centimeter square. So such a high pressure is applied over the mold to prevent the flow of polymer from the mold, from the vertical mold. So when polymer is injected to this mold, this movable part will come closer to the stationary part and the polymer is trapped in the cavity and the molten material is cooled by cold water. So this molded material in the cavity is cooled by cold water and ejected from the mold. So we'll get an article which having the same shape of the cavity in the movable part. So this is injection molding method. The next method is extrusion molding. It is the cheapest method used for the preparation of plastic articles like thin film, filaments, rods, straps, and such elongated structures. This method also used for coating wires with plastic or PVC. So let us explain the method in detail. So here this instrument contains a large cylinder which is attached to a hopper and the cylinder is fitted with a helical screw. And the next end is attached to a die assembly. So die is a hollow form that the molten plastic is pulled through. Okay. And this cylinder is connected with an electric heater for constant heating, and we can divide the cylinder or we can divide the instrument into 3 different zones. The first one is feed zone, and the second one is compression zone, and the third one is metering zone. The feed region is a non-heated region, and the 2 other zones, that is compression zone and the metering zones, are the zones in which heating process occurs. The heating process of this instrument is done by 2 different methods. One is directly by the heating element. So if you talk about the purpose of the screw that is used in this technique is, the screw is constantly rotating within the cylinder. So the constant rotation produces some frictional effect, and the frictional effect causes frictional heating. And that is the second type of heat energy which is produced in the cylinder. So heating is by 2 ways. One is by heating element, one is by electrical heating filament, one is by electrical heating, and the next one is frictional heating. So the 2 type of heating processes occur in this technique. So during the molding process, the granuled form of the polymer material or powdered polymer material is poured into the cylinder through the hopper. And the granuled material enters into the feed region, into the feed zone. From feed zone, it moves into the compression zone. The feed zone receives the charge and it sends to the next zone, that is compression zone. So the next zone is compression zone. Compression zone is a zone where heating process occurs. And due to the high temperature in compression zone, the polymer material started to melt. So here in compression region, the melt is compressed by the working of screw between the screw and the surface of the cylinder. That is, this melt is compressed between the working screw and the walls of the cylinder. And the heating effect is produced due to this process. That is, the frictional force arises by the compression of the charge between the screw and the surface of the cylinder. And the molten material, molten polymer material, is then sent to the third zone, that is metering zone. So the temperature of metering zone is also high. So what occurs in metering zone is the molten polymer attain a constant flow rate. If uniformity is not there, that is polymer, molten polymer is not well mixed, then one more zone is there, that is working zone. Working zone helps to mix the polymer thoroughly. And after mixing, this molten polymer will be enters the die and emerge out with desired shape. So die means it is a hollow form that molten plastic is pushed through. That is, when the molten polymer enters into the die, it converts into elongated polymer unit, and we can cut this elongated polymer unit by using blades to desired profile. The extruded material is actually hot. So if we take the hot material out, it may be D-shaped. So to prevent D-shaping of the extruded material, we have to cool this. So we can use cold water or cold air to cool the extruded material from the molding instrument. So this is all about extrusion molding.